How's it going, everyone? We're back, and today we're going to do a review on the Universal Tarot by Lo Scarabeo. Here's the box, and it is made by a guy named Roberto de Angelis. And I'm going to read a little excerpt from the little white book. This is it. It's a very small book. It's not bound um, by any staples. So let's begin. I'm going to try not to get the glare in there for you guys from the light. Okay, here we go. An Italian master illustrator, Roberto de Angelis, was inspired by the iconography, iconography described in A.E. Waite's works while recreating the same symbolic immediacy of the tarot by Pamela Coleman Smith in a modern style. Much of that which has been written about Waite tarot can also be applied to the universal tarot. There are, however, some substantial differences. The softer and more dynamic style of De Angelis captures some of the symbolic synthesis and sobriety of pre-Raphaelesque illustrations. In exchange, the more modern and realistic aspect is more consistent with our time and more in tune with the thinking of contemporary men or man. In fact, knowing the meaning of the cards is not enough for reading tarot. We must attune to the image and allow it to speak to our intuition, to suggest and guide during consultation. This knowledge was the basis of Waite's decision to create allegorical images for the minor arcana as well, in order to provide a pictorial key for the reading. So, pre-Raphaelesque imagery is basically trying to portray more modern images. So it's not pre-Raphaelesque. Pre-Raphaelesque means it's trying to get back to Italian roots, but this deck is more modern. So nonetheless, we will get started. So this is the back of the deck. Okay. It's really nice. It's got the 8-pointed star on the back. And 8 of them. So 8 times 8, 16. This is the front card. Now this deck is really nice because it has 6 different languages on it. Okay. I believe the Golden Tarot is based off of this deck as well. We have our High Priestess. So I'm going to be going through the whole deck. So I'm going to be flipping through these cards pretty quickly. If anyone wants to go back and see an individual card, just rewind the video. This Hierophant is very interesting. He's got like a Middle Eastern guru vibe to him. That's funny. Adam, in this tarot deck, you can actually see his penis. Very valiant chariot. Wow. The Force card, or the Strength card in the deck, is very virginal. I like that. The Hermit. The Wheel of Fortune. Again, this deck is made to speak more towards the modern man rather than get to the original roots of European culture. So the A.E. Waite deck was made for the intention to speak to more old Italian artistic styles. This deck was created for the modern man. So we can see the style of art is definitely a more modern style. Wow, the devil is really spooky. Well, very graphic tower. All the fine detail. He really accentuates the breasts in this deck as well. He really wasn't holding anything back with the nudity. I appreciate that. Wow. This is actually the first time I've flipped through this deck with you guys, so this is good. Interesting. The Sun card. The flag seems like it's posted on the horse rather than the baby holding it. Interesting. Like I said, he's really not holding back anything with the nudity in this deck, guys. Pretty basic world card. Okay, we're going to get into the minor arcana. We're starting with the cups. It's a little out of order, but it's okay. Elementally, I think the cups are all in order, so we'll go in numerical order, just not the way that the elements are set up. Now, the tarot in sequential order tells a story. If you're watching this video and you're like, oh, I can see a story panning out in my head, that's because it probably is supposed to be that way. It's supposed to be perceived that way. So in the Rider-Waite deck, the Six of Cups actually has two little children in a village. This has them next to a bridge. Seven of Cups. We still have the evil degen. And all the serpents and gold and temptations. Eight of Cups. Again, I'm flipping through this pretty quickly because I want to get through all the minor arcana cards so you guys can see if you really want to get this deck, if it's worth your time. Ten of Cups. I like that rendition. Okay. The Cups via the court cards. Ha! Very flamboyant page. We have the Knight. Queen. Almost like a leopard printed cape. And the King. Interesting King. Interesting facial expression on our King there. Okay, we're moving into the Pentacles. It's pretty similar to the original Two of Pence. Three of Pentacles. Wow, this is a nice, interesting modern rendition of the A.E. Waite deck. I can see why this deck is attractive. Interesting. So the Pentacles have seemed like they're pretty in line with the Waite interpretations. Just seems like he's zooming in or zooming out and adding a little more detail to the cards. The Cups were definitely, there was a twist to them. Oh yeah, traditionally the King sits on the left side, but he has made it, he sits on the right. I do feel like that this deck lacks a little bit of the symbolism that the A.E. Waite deck had, although this is a very nice piece of tarot art. Again, he's speaking to the modern man, so this may speak to you, it may not. All right, we are into the wands. Pretty on point with the Two of Wands. Lord of Dominion. So Angelis has created a couple different decks. There's also a mini version of this deck that is available for purchase. If you would like to purchase this deck or the mini version, you can go on to themindfulhermit.com where there are many different decks for sale. This is a first edition of the Universal Tarot, so it does run a little bit more than a some of the more modern copies. I believe this one was made in 2000. So this deck is almost 25 years old, guys. So the difference between vintage and antique is that vintage only has to be 20 years old, okay? Antique has to be 50 years old or more. So when you go into a antique shop and it says it's vintage, that means it was made within over 20 years ago, okay? So 20 to 49 years is vintage, okay? And anything 50 and up, 50 years and older, that is actually antique. I'm not quite sure on antiquarian, but I want to say antiquarian is 100 years, but I might be wrong. If anybody catches me in that slip up, please correct me in the comments. Okay, so we're getting through the deck. There's only 11 more cards to go. Oh, this Four of Swords is nice. Traditionally, the Four of Swords is laying on its side. That one had it facing towards you. So if anybody has any experience doing readings with this deck, go ahead and do a shout out in the comment section. Let us know how it compares to your other decks that you use. Again, there is a small version of this deck, the mini, available on my website, www.themindfulhermit.com. There's a plethora of other decks as well. The website is focused towards vintage and antique tarot decks. So that is why this one's getting reviewed right now, because it is technically vintage. It is 23 years old. Okay, guys, we're coming up on the home stretch. All right. And that is all. I hope everyone enjoyed themselves, and we will speak another time. Hope you enjoyed this run through with the Universal Tarot. Bye.